After 45 years, the Kings can wear their crown. Score!
The Los Angeles Kings are indeed the kings of the National Hockey League.
Stanley Cup moments, presented by McDonald's.
And now 34 seconds to go. This is for you, Kings fans, wherever you may be.
10 seconds left. Puck behind the Kings net, centered by Parise. The long wait is over.
The countdown is on. 3, 2, 1. It's over.
When you talk about hockey in Los Angeles, you talk about Bob Miller in the same sentence.
As soon as he opens his mouth and you hear that voice, that's Bob Miller, and that's the LA Kings. That's what it's all about.
Doughty shoots, score!
He's seen it all. He's seen it all except for that Stanley Cup.
Richards comes in, gives it to Brown. Brown shoots, he scores! His second goal!
The biggest thing when I retired is I realized how important he made every one of my goals or assists, you know, like sound. You know, it's amazing. If it wasn't for that, you know, you wouldn't hear anything. It wouldn't be that meaningful.
Martinez dumps it in himself and chases it down.
One thing I can say about the job I'm able to work at is that every single night I have the best seat in the house because I'm watching the game, but I get to hear Bob Miller in my ear every night. It's right there.
Kings with a 5-goal lead. Here now is Tallinder.
I started out with the Kings doing games for 9 years on the simulcast, TV and radio with Bob. So I thought it was great that they were able to document the Kings winning the Stanley Cup as well, to have it for the fans in the future to listen to.
Through this series and the finals, I know I had been thinking about what am I going to say when it finally happens. And so I wrote a few things down, and I had them written down that night just so that I didn't want to sound like I'm reading it, but I didn't want to stumble and fumble in the excitement of the moment.
I thought he would have something prepared, and I was right. I didn't know what he was going to say, but just knowing Bob, I know he's so well prepared. I know he's going to have something. I know he wants to capture the moment, which in all honesty, I don't think anyone does it better than Bob. His energy is always appropriate. It's never too high, it's never too low. It's always exactly like it should be.
And back to the right point. Green scores! Matt Green from the right point. And you can start celebrating.
Right after the Trevor Lewis goal, the Kings dump it in. Feed it out to Matt Green, and his wrist shot beats Martin Brodeur.
People were asking me, do you know what you're going to say? A lot of them were saying when, not if, but when the Kings win the Stanley Cup. And I always gave them the same answer. They say, what are you going to say? Do you know what you're going to say? I says, yeah, well, I've been working on it for 31 years.
Doughty sends it around, held in. Andy Green, a shot, kicked out by Quick. 10 seconds left.
Two things came to my mind. One was what I learned years ago when I started my broadcasting career, and that was the game is all about the players. So I took that to heart, and then I said, you know what, I want to keep it short because I don't want it to kind of detract from the overall atmosphere.
10 seconds left. Puck behind the Kings net, centered by Parise.
And it was great for Bob, too, because he had something planned he wanted to say. And you know what? Bob was able to set the table.
And now 34 seconds to go.
And the clock is running down, and I got it in as I said, this is for you, Kings fans, wherever you may be.
All the frustration and disappointment of the past is gone. The 45-year drought is over. The Los Angeles Kings are indeed the kings of the National Hockey League. They are the 2012 Stanley Cup champions.
The long wait is over. After 45 years,
the Kings can wear their crown. The Los Angeles Kings have won the Stanley Cup.
I paused for like 10 seconds after I said it. When I said have won the Stanley Cup, the buzzer sounded, and the horn lasted longer than it's ever lasted before. I was just thinking back what a wonderful ride it has been and how happy I was that I could be part of it, a small part of it, and how happy I was that the fans were here, the Kings were able to do it on home ice.
I'd worked over 1,000 games with Nick, and just listening to him to make that call, I could sense the emotion in his voice, and also just how proud he was to be able to make that call. And it was great to listen to, and I listened to it for a number of days after that on all the different radio stations and that, and never get sick of hearing it.
Jimmy told me before, he said, if they win, I'm going to be crying. I'm a crier. I'm going to cry. Now, at one point, I look over at Jim, and he's got tears in his eyes, and I'm thinking, now he's going to get me doing this. But I held it together, and I didn't. I got through it.
Commissioner Gary Bettman with Dustin Brown, and now Dustin Brown hoisting the cup.
I just took it all in. Again, listening to Nick, make the announcement, and then listening to the fans and the emotion that was involved in the building. It was as if time stood still there for a second, and it's a feeling that I'll never forget.
I know for Bob, it was starting to get to the point where, I'm going to retire here, and then they're going to win the cup. Or, I'm going to retire, and it's just not going to happen.
We're kind of like the senior members of the whole organization. We've seen the highs and the lows. To be this close and know it's going to happen, it's a feeling that really I don't think you can describe. But when that buzzer finally sounded, boy, that felt great.
I wondered for days before that Game 6, if and when the Kings do win it, what is it going to feel like? What am I going to feel like?
Trevor Lewis, 3:45 to go.
For 2 days afterwards, my wife and I would wake up in the morning and say, did that really happen? Did we see that? I get more emotional now talking about those moments than I did then. Finally, the Kings are Stanley Cup champions.